Hello there, welcome back to a new video. Tonight we are looking at Hcmc. Now Hcmc once again has seen quite a flat week. If we are looking at how Hcmc has moved this week, of course we aren't really seeing much action at all. And the flat week has begged a lot of questions. People are asking a lot about Hcmc. Of course volume was stepping up towards the later part of the week. I think subsequently people are asking, is this stock about to explode next week? Well, I'm giving you all of my thoughts and opinions in this video, so do make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe if you haven't already, because of course we do talk about this stock every single day and it would be appreciated if you could support us. On top of that, we are doing a bit more of an in-depth look on this stock tomorrow, looking at the actual forecast which I have into the next week. So of course if you do want to see where I think this one is going in the next week, that is coming up in that episode, and of course you can find it as soon as it comes out if you do subscribe to the channel. So of course it would be appreciated if you could do that. But yeah, we're going to jump into this one and look at how this one has been moving in the past few days. So starting us off in this video, we can see that Hcmc's share price this week has actually been quite flat. Now we are still down, that is true, that is facts. If we're looking at where we started at the start of the week, we are in this 0.0017 range. Coming towards the end of the week now, we are in this 0.0014 range. Of course we have stepped down by 0.0003 cent, so not really too big, but that is still equating to a 17% decrease in share price, simply due to how cheap this stock actually is. I think that is actually noteworthy because that is quite a decrease in price actually when we are looking at Hcmc or any other stock. But this video isn't really intended to look at how we moved this week. That was all in last night's video, so again make sure to watch that one if you haven't already. This one is just to bring people up to scratch with what you might want to know about Hcmc if you have missed any of the updates throughout the week, or perhaps if this is your first time learning about the stock, or even just watching this channel. So that is the intention for this video. So let's start off by obviously looking at the company's fundamentals, then some of the news from their website as well. So Hcmc, it may sound obvious to a lot of you, and I think that is fair, but what the company does is kind of in the name. It's healthier choices. So healthier choices in life and lifestyle. That is interesting and cool, and it could go forwards into the future and continue to expand. So looking at their webpage, it is coming from hcmc.com, we can see, and the official web address for that is healthiercmc.com. But basically on their site they are saying about the 3 different sectors of the business and the 3 different areas which they focus on. So the first one is over here on the left. It is called the Hcmc Intellectual Property Holdings, and we can see this is an area for basically where the company does intend to keep and look after all of its patents and also intellectual property. So again, just to sum that up, that is things like patents, trademarks and other intellectual property, so we can get a bit of an understanding of where this company is looking with this sector. And again, right now we do have that lawsuit going on with Philip Morris, which is potentially going to give us a good result, hopefully. And I've talked about this more in a previous episode yesterday, and I will talk more about that lawsuit tomorrow. But yeah, that could give us a good result, hopefully, at some point. And if that was to be the case, that could really expand this part of the business. Now, the second part of the business is very interesting as well. It is the healthier choice markets. So basically, this is the fresh organic food store, which is defined here as local and organic and fresh. 3 words that both define healthier choice markets. So this is their food stores. We can see they have an 18,000 square foot full service grocery store in the Fort Myers, Florida, and 3 Paradise Health and Nutrition locations in the greater Melbourne area in Florida. So again, that shows us a lot about the company. Again, not too many of their stores in this sector, so for me at least that is something which I do want to see the company expand on going forwards. And then the final one, which in my eyes is the most important one for this company at the moment, it is the vape store sector. So vape stores in my eyes for healthier choices is their most profitable sector, I do believe, going forwards. I think this is the one where they could be seeing the biggest gains. But either way, that could be untrue, as I do believe that this healthier choice markets with the supermarkets, if you will, could also have a big expansion in the future. But as things stand right now, I think that the vape stores is more profitable for them at the moment. So obviously looking at what they're saying about said vape stores, we can see that there are 8 of them across the southeast United States. They basically basically help to provide e-cigarette and vaping market with products. As we do know, we have seen some of their products previously and what they do. I think the products are cool if you like that sort of thing. Obviously, I do not smoke, so I can't comment on the usability of them, but from what I can tell from reading what people have said about the products, they do seem to be pretty alright. So again, vape stores at the moment is a very popular industry, especially with this lawsuit going on with Philip Morris. This one could pay off for them short and long term. So let me just update you with what you should know about the company fundamentally. Well, where we stand right now, the last year for the company wasn't too profitable. We're going to talk about why this was in just a moment. But let's face it, guys, the company is a penny stock. Of course, the market cap of the company is quite cheap. But ultimately, what we need to remember is this company does actually have working stores. They have 8 vape stores and about 3 or 4 supermarket stores as well. And now they have this intellectual property part to deal with patents. Now again, in my eyes, I think it would be very lucrative for the company to work on expanding their current markets. I think where they are right now is pretty decent, but let's face it, guys, with their 3 supermarkets and their 8 vape stores, it's not the most profitable that it could be. I think that they could work on expanding this business model going forwards, regardless of if they do or do not win the Philip Morris lawsuit. So long term, I would like to see this be expanded. I think this could help to further attract more investors for the company's stock, and just generally speaking, help to make the company better, allowing them to also generate more profits. Now, speaking of profits, we are going to look at these earnings in just a moment in the Healthier Choices website, where they talk about news. So this is up to date on all of the most recent news, last updated on the 8th of March, and that is fair enough in my opinion, because that was the last time that we had anything to look at, and we can see this was talking about the Twitter page. So what we can see down here is that the Twitter page was announced on the 8th of March, and already on that Twitter page they have pushed an offer on their Q-Cup vaping product. Now, I think in my eyes at least, this shows that Hcmc is trying to target perhaps a younger demographic, or at least a more internet savvy demographic at least, because Twitter is of course an online platform which is actually very profitable, because let's face it, with how many people are using Twitter at the moment, it will give the company extra reach for potential new customers. So what they are doing on the Twitter is very interesting, and it could help them long term. Now, we've taken a look at their adverts previously, and I have said it before, and I'll say it again. I do like Hcmc, but where they aren't necessarily the best, I think it is okay to be critical. And the advert that I saw on the Twitter, whilst it did tell you everything that you needed to know, I think that they definitely should be working on the design of that, because to me at least, as a relatively young person, the design of the product wasn't too bad, and the advert did tell us everything that we needed to know. But I think if they were to perhaps make the advert look a bit cleaner and a bit more simplified, that could also attract a lot more customers. But still, we are going to praise what they are doing there with the vape stores online and with the Twitter page, because it is a step in the right direction at least. Perhaps if they are not even 100% of the way there yet, they do have that room to grow in the future. But yeah, another thing which we want to look at is the 5th of March, which was just a few days before the Twitter page launch, where it talks about 4th quarter and full 2020 financial results. So what we found out in a previous episode, if you didn't watch that one, it was that earnings were down in the past few years, basically. Now, net sales did actually continue from December the 31st of 2020 to 13.9 million, which was actually a decrease from the 15.9 million during the same period last year. Similarly, gross profit was down. It decreased by about 700k, down to about 5.8 million from a previous year where it was at 6.5 million, obviously just 12 months before. So what we can see is that sales obviously decreased and all that kind of stuff, and that is not good. Now, what we have been seeing is that a lot of this is due to the pandemic, and I think that is fair. So we can see that despite the lower net sales volume of $1.2 million, due in large part to the pandemic, our team's ability to reinvent the way which we do business on many levels is a testament to the culture of hard work and dedication which we have focused on and fostered over the past 13 years. So again, the company been working on this for 13 years, but it just shows that the company is still trying to do their best in the pandemic. Now, let's face it, guys, it is a true fact. A lot of companies' earnings have been down in the past 12 months. Now, some companies have done absolutely amazing in the past 12 months. Other companies have taken a bit of a hit. Now, Hcmc is generally working in the store sector, as we can tell. Stores, people aren't really shopping in at the moment too much. Again, the CEO did talk about how the company has tried to reinvent themselves to work in this current climate, which is good. But obviously, with their actual, physical property where people are going in to shop, perhaps people aren't using this as much for whatever reason this year. I think, you know what, that is fine. I would like to see earnings become better next year, and if we can see that, fantastic. But yes, let's move back to other things which you might want to know, which is looking at the lawsuit. Now, in the past week, we haven't had much to talk about in the lawsuit because nothing has happened. Despite this, nothing bad has happened, and also we are looking a bit more closely at a date which is coming up perhaps in the next week. We are looking now at the 22nd of March. Now, this is a deadline that defendants Philip Morris, USA, have to basically talk about their motion to dismiss. In this motion to dismiss, we can see that Philip Morris didn't actually state a claim, so that wasn't too good, and we are still waiting for them to see what happens on the 22nd. Perhaps they will state a claim, perhaps they may not. What we already know, though, is that the companies are kind of waiting to see what happens because they have both worked for a joint extension of time, which will basically reveal itself on the 16th of April. So a few more weeks to go until that time period, but we can see that the companies could potentially, I do need to say because it's not guaranteed, be working on something together out of court, and I think that is interesting. But right now, the past week hasn't seen too much good action for Hcmc. It has been down, and that is okay. From a fundamental standpoint, the company is okay. I would say that is okay. Perhaps it is not the best, but it is fine. I think if they do work on expanding, it could be a fantastic business model, but right now the company is quite small, and that is what people do need to remember. Ultimately, looking at the share price, of course it is a penny stock. We have spoken about this many times before, and I am going to mention it again. I think people ask a lot of the time in the comment section, should I be buying Hcmc, should I move on to another penny stock, or should I buy this stock or that stock? I'm going to say it right now, guys. A lot of you people should not buy Hcmc. A lot of you people shouldn't buy it. I know that might sound a bit harsh, I know it might not sound like the best advice, but hear me out, okay? I have a fantastic reason for that. Hcmc, as I have stated many a time in the past, is a very, very risky stock. The company does have long-term potential, as I have mentioned, but right now, let's face it, no matter how good the company is, the stock is being hyped up by this lawsuit. And if we don't get the outcome that we are looking for, that could actually have a negative impact on the share's price. Personally, I own about 800,000 shares of Hcmc. Last time I checked, it was about 840,000 to be exact. So I obviously do have quite a large position in this. I know that might sound like a large amount of money to deposit, of course, for 800,000 shares. I will agree it is a large amount of money. And of course, I don't want to lose that money. I would rather not lose it. But I am willing to lose it in a worst case scenario. Because with stocks like Hcmc, this could explode. It absolutely could. I've mentioned in another episode last week where many a penny stock have gone from being very cheap like this and then gone to a few dollars, in a few years. And right now, Hcmc isn't going to go to $1. I think that is true, and I think that needs to be stressed. There is potential of it going to $1 if they were to do a share buyback, I do believe, and of course, perhaps even a reverse split. I think out of the two, a share buyback would be the best option, and again, if they were to win that lawsuit against Philip Morris, that could be what happens. But ultimately, what we need to remember before I just even mention that is the fact there is no guarantee that they are going to win against Philip Morris. Me, and probably you as well, do want to see this company win. It does make sense, and they possibly could win. But ultimately, we need to remember it's not guaranteed. So again, if you are looking to buy into Hcmc, you need to ask yourself a few questions, in my humble opinion at least, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you are looking to buy Hcmc, I would sit there for a moment and ask these few things to yourself. 1. Am I willing to lose money if this goes wrong? If this goes wrong, the share price could halve, and that's just facts, guys. I know people might not like that, but many people who are in Hcmc are in this one for the short term and for that immediate catalyst. And again, if they don't see that, the share price could plummet very quickly. So that is the first question. The question 2 is, can I even afford to get into this investment? I know that might sound silly as well, but ultimately what I have heard many times in the comment section, people buying 10 million shares or something like that. And let's face it, guys, 10 million shares is quite a lot of money. I think it is roughly £10,000 in my country. Perhaps it is different in yours, but obviously we can see that is a large amount of money, right? 10,000 is not a small amount. So yes, it could explode and you could make a lot of that, but you know what guys, I wouldn't put that much in. I would only put in what you are willing to lose. The third thing that you need to ask yourself is, can I afford to wait time-wise? Hcmc may reach a settlement with Philip Morris in the end of the 22nd of March, who knows, but again, that is not guaranteed. If this does go through the court system, it could take weeks, months, and maybe even years for a result to come out. And even if it was to work in Hcmc's favour, we could see the share price die off in the meantime, as a lot of people will be losing interest. So if you aren't willing to wait, I wouldn't say that you should buy this one. So now that might have sounded a bit harsh to you guys, but I just want to keep it as real as possible. Hcmc as a company is decent, that's my opinion at least, but as a stock, we need to look at this one for profits, and we need to look at this one for risk. The risk is kind of big at the moment. Of course, one big catalyst is swaying this one short term, and it could have a major impact if it doesn't win the lawsuit. And of course, we also need to look at potential for the future. Now, like I said, the profits that we could see with Hcmc could be huge. They aren't guaranteed, but they absolutely could, rocket this stock in the future. But ultimately, the thing that I do need to stress again is I think if you buy Hcmc now, you should be looking to hold this one for the next 12 months at least. And in that period, you should be looking to lose money or potentially, not even move by much. I think if you are patient with this one, and if you aren't putting in more than you can afford to lose, just put in a small amount, I think it could pay off. But yes, guys, I wouldn't pour loads of money into this one. The company does have potential, honestly, and I think right now where we stand, we're in a great position. And going forwards into the next week, we do have the state of the 22nd coming up very soon, and that could see an increase or a stark decrease in share price. So we could see either good or bad things into the next week. But yeah, I'm going to be giving you all of my opinions on this one tomorrow in my forecast for the next week. So do join us for that. I'll see you then, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye until tomorrow. See you then.